Look at this parking lot. Walmart, Tuesday evening. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like trapped flies. Two cars pull in at the same time. On the left, a brand new Dodge Charger, midnight black, chrome trim catching every flicker of light from the lot. The bass is thumping so hard the nearest shopping cart rattles against its chain. Behind the wheel sits Wojak Hamster. Poor little hamster, with a cigarette behind his ear and a grin that says, "I finally made it." He spent 4 hours at the dealership last Saturday, signed everything they put in front of him, drove off feeling like a king. $41,000, 72 months, 6.9% APR. He doesn't know what APR means. Doesn't matter. The seat warmers work and the exhaust sounds mean. On the right, a 2009 Toyota Camry. Dent on the rear bumper, faded paint on the hood, a coffee stain on the passenger seat that's been there since the Obama administration. Out steps El Pepperoni. Pepperoni sombrero, tilted just right, suit jacket over a plain black tee. He locks the car with the actual key because the remote died 2 years ago, and he never replaced the battery. His brokerage account has 7 digits. His car has 7 dents. He's fine with both. Same parking lot, same Tuesday, same store. One of them will work until he's 70. The other one already doesn't have to. And the difference between their futures is parked right there under those buzzing lights. The car you drive is the most honest portrait of your financial future, and most people are painting themselves into a corner they'll never escape. Wojak Hamster earns $54,000 a year. Solid, average. He saw the Charger on Instagram. Some guy leaning against one. Caption said, "Grind don't stop." Wojak's grind hadn't started, but the want was already burning. So he went to the dealer. The salesman smelled him the second he walked through the door. Fresh haircut, nervous eyes, no pre-approval letter, easy prey. $41,000 at 6.9% over 72 months means Wojak pays $702 every single month. For 6 years, that's $50,544 total, almost $10,000 in pure interest. Money that buys nothing, doesn't add horsepower, doesn't add a single feature, just vanishes into the bank's quarterly earnings report. If you want to see how deep this rabbit hole goes for Wojak Hamster, and trust me, his Charger is about to cost him more than a house, hit subscribe. Now let's keep pulling the thread. But that $10,000 in interest, that's the price tag they let you see. The real number, the one that would make Wojak's hands shake if he ever sat down with a calculator, is hiding behind a dozen other lines on his monthly budget. And when you see the full picture, you'll understand why every actual millionaire on that Walmart parking lot is driving something that looks like it belongs to a college student. Insurance on a brand new Charger for a 28-year-old male with average credit, $220 a month. That's $2,640 a year just for permission to drive the thing. El Pepperoni's Camry, $89 a month. Gap right there, $1,572 a year. Over 6 years, that's $9,432. Now add fuel. The Charger's V6 drinks premium like Wojak drinks energy drinks, constantly and expensively. He drives 30 miles to work each way, 5 days a week, $210 a month in gas. El Pepperoni's 4-cylinder sips regular, $112 a month. Yearly gap, $1,176. And here's the part that ends Wojak slowly. Depreciation. The moment he drove that Charger off the lot, new car smell filling his nostrils and Lil Durk rattling the mirrors, the car lost about $9,000 in value. Gone. By the end of year 1, his $41,000 car is worth $32,000. By year 3, $22,000. But he still owes $31,000 on the loan. He's underwater, drowning on dry land. Wojak checks his loan balance on the app one night, squints at the number, closes it, opens Instagram instead. The car doesn't care. It just keeps losing value like a countdown clock to financial zero. Let's stack it all up. Over 6 years, Wojak Hamster will spend $50,544 on payments, $15,840 on insurance, $15,120 on gas, $4,800 on oil changes, tires, and maintenance because Chargers break like promises. Total cost of looking cool at the Walmart parking lot, $86,304. For a car that'll be worth $11,000 when the last payment clears. Meanwhile, El Pepperoni bought his Camry for $8,700 cash 5 years ago. Total cost of ownership over 6 years including insurance, gas, maintenance, and one timing belt replacement, $27,900. The gap between them is $58,404. That's a house down payment in 19 states. That's a retirement fund that compounds into 7 figures. That's the difference between freedom and a hamster wheel. And Wojak has no idea. You're probably thinking, but I need a reliable car to get to work. Fair. And that's exactly the trap. Because reliable and new are not the same word. Pepperoni's Camry has 204,000 miles and starts every single morning. You know what isn't reliable? A $700 monthly payment when your company announces layoffs. But bad car math is nothing compared to what happens when you zoom out and see what actual millionaires drive. There's a hidden fleet on every highway in America, and it looks nothing like what Instagram told you. Pepperoni didn't invent this. He learned it by watching. 86% of people with a net worth over $1 million have never purchased a brand new luxury vehicle. Not once. They drive Toyotas, Hondas, Fords that are old enough to vote. There's a name for this invisible armada. Call it the ghost fleet. You've seen these cars every single day, parked at your office, in your neighbor's driveway, at the school pickup line. Unremarkable, invisible, and that's the entire point. Every dent is a badge. Every faded bumper sticker is a statement. I have nothing to prove to you. Doge Papa understood this before it was fashionable, way back when everybody laughed at him. Much wow. Very patient. He drives a 2006 Honda Pilot with 212,000 miles on the odometer. The AC makes it sound like a cat being stepped on. The radio gets stuck on AM sometimes. His grandkids are embarrassed when he picks them up from school. His net worth has 7 digits. He sits in that Pilot wearing his hodl cardigan, sipping green tea from a thermos older than most social media platforms, and he watches the world bankrupt itself trying to look rich. Doge Papa taps his dashboard and goes, "Much depreciation, very sad." He's joking, but the math isn't. The average American spends about $850 a month on car expenses. That's $10,200 a year. Over a 40-year working career, that's $408,000. And that's without any growth. Put that same money into an index fund averaging 8% a year, it turns into $3,200,000. $3 million, sitting in your driveway, evaporating, while the exhaust hums and the loan balance barely moves. And here's where the trap gets truly vicious, because it's not just about the car itself. One purchase creates a chain reaction that costs 3 times the sticker price, and it's strangling budgets across America right now. If this is clicking for you, if you're starting to see the parking lot differently, smash that like button. It costs nothing, it takes half a second, and it helps more people see through the game. Now let me show you what happened to Wojak after he signed that contract, because it gets so much worse. Wojak hamster bought the Charger, but the Charger didn't come alone. It brought friends. First premium insurance, then premium gas, then a car wash membership because you can't park a new Charger looking dusty. $25 a month. Then window tint because everyone tints a Charger. $350. Then custom floor mats, a dash cam, a phone mount that matches the interior. Another $200. Then something quiet and terrible happened. Wojak started parking farther from the store to avoid door dings. Started taking the long way to work to dodge the road with potholes. Started declining invitations to his buddy's ranch because the dirt road would scratch the paint. The car began controlling his behavior. It was supposed to give him freedom. Instead, it gave him anxiety. He's checking for scratches in the parking lot at work, running his fingers over the fender, heart rate spiking every time a shopping cart rolls past. And then the big one. Wojak pulled into his apartment complex and looked at his building. Suddenly, it didn't match the car. A $41,000 Charger parked in front of a $700 a month apartment. Looked wrong, felt wrong. So Wojak started browsing apartments. Found a place with a garage. $1,100 a month. $400 more just to house a depreciating machine. That's $4,800 a year to shelter a car. Not to improve his own life. To protect the car's paint. Pepperoni has a name for this. The Diderot spiral. One purchase that demands upgrades to everything around it. The Charger demanded better insurance, better parking, better housing. Before Wojak noticed, he was spending $14,000 a year more than before he walked into that dealership. Not because he needed to, because the car needed him to. Some of you are saying, but I wouldn't fall for that. I have discipline. Maybe, but look at your last 3 Amazon orders. Look at the case you bought after the phone, the stand after the tablet, the subscription after the app. The spiral is everywhere. The car is just the most expensive version. El Pepperoni's Camry asks nothing, doesn't demand premium gas, doesn't need a garage, doesn't care about potholes. It's a tool, not an identity. And that distinction, tool versus identity, is the most expensive lesson most people never learn. But here's something about El Pepperoni that makes this real. Last March, he walked into a Tesla showroom, sat in a Model 3, ran his hands over the steering wheel, smelled that new car smell, felt the pull. 20 minutes he sat there. Then he opened his brokerage app, looked at one number, and walked out. He's not a robot. He feels every temptation you feel. He just has a system that's stronger than the feeling. And that system starts with understanding what the auto industry is actually doing to you, because the system doesn't want you to see your car as a tool. The system needs you to see it as who you are. And what the industry does next is something most people don't discover until they're already locked into a 72-month contract. Two people walk into two different banks in two different zip codes. Same car, same credit score, same loan amount. The one in the working class neighborhood pays, on average, 1.2% more on their auto loan. Over 72 months, that's roughly $1,800 extra dollars for living on the wrong side of an invisible line. The system literally charges you more for having less. Think about that. Before you even sit down at the dealership, before you even see the car, your zip code has already decided what you'll pay. Wojak Hamster doesn't know this. He's never going to know this. He just knows his payment feels heavy. Now he's inside the dealership and the real extraction begins. The auto industry spends more than $35 billion a year on advertising in America, more than the GDP of some countries. And every dollar has one job: make you feel incomplete without a new car. They don't sell transportation. They sell identity. Watch any truck commercial. There's always a mountain, a sunset, a guy who looks like he bench presses oak trees. He never mentions a monthly payment. He just drives into the golden light looking like freedom. The reality is, Wojak Hamster, sitting in Houston traffic for 90 minutes, scrolling his phone, $702 lighter every month. The dealership flips the conversation from price to payment. Wojak walks in thinking about $41,000. The salesman immediately converts. About $700 a month. Sounds smaller. Feels manageable. But $700 a month for 72 months is a prison sentence, not a payment plan. Then they stretch the loan. In 2006, the average car loan was 48 months. Today, it's 70 months. Some go 84. 7 years. People are financing cars for longer than most marriages last. Then, the back room, the finance manager. This is where the real bleeding happens. Wojak's pen hovers over the contract. The finance manager smiles. Extended warranty? $2,300. Gap insurance? $800. Paint protection? $600. Tire and wheel package? $500. Wojak's hand trembles slightly, but he signs. Every single line. His $41,000 car now costs $45,400. He won't realize it until the first statement arrives and his stomach drops. The interest rate game adds another layer. Wojak's credit score is 682. The bank approved him at 4.9%, but the dealer marked it up to 6.9. That 2-point spread over 72 months cost Wojak an extra $2,600. Pure profit for the dealer. Completely legal. They call it dealer reserve. Wojak calls it his payment. He doesn't know the difference exists. You might be thinking, I'm smart enough to negotiate. Maybe. But the average person walks into a dealership and faces a team that does this 40 times a week versus someone who does it once every 5 years. That's not a negotiation. That's a slow-motion mugging in a room with leather chairs and free coffee. El Pepperoni drove past this same dealership last week. Didn't slow down. Didn't look. His Camry doesn't even know what a dealership smells like anymore. He pulled into his driveway, opened his laptop, and did something Wojak has never done once. He checked his breathing line. And this is the concept that separates people who work forever from people who stop when they choose. El Pepperoni built his entire financial life around one number. And right now, Wojak Hamster is drowning below it. The breathing line. The exact point where your passive income, your investments, your dividends, your interest covers your basic monthly expenses. Rent, food, utilities, insurance. Once you cross that line, you can breathe. You don't need your job. You might keep it, but you don't need it, and that changes everything. The way you negotiate a raise, the way you sleep on Sunday night, the way you walk into Monday morning. When your boss raises his voice, you don't flinch. You have options. Wojak flinches every time because he has none. Wojak Hamster is $47,000 below his breathing line, not because he doesn't earn enough, because his charger is eating the distance every single month. Doge Papa figured this out decades ago, not through fancy education, through watching. Much observation, very patterns. He noticed that his friends who drove new BMWs in their 30s were still working at 68, and the quiet ones, the ones with old Hondas and brown bag lunches, they disappeared from the office one by one in their 50s, not fired, free. Doge Papa's buddy from the 80s, an engineer making $140,000 a year, drove a new car every 3 years his whole career, traded up every time, Cadillac, then Lexus, then BMW, then Mercedes, always a payment, always a lease, 40 years of leases, total spent on cars over his career, roughly $680,000. Today that man is 71 years old, standing in an orange apron at Home Depot, greeting customers 8 hours a day. Not because he wants to, because $680,000 went into driveways instead of brokerage accounts. If he'd driven used and invested the gap, he'd be sitting on over $2 million right now. While Doge Papa was learning this the hard way back in 1992, when he himself almost signed a lease on a Corvette and his wife stopped him. Much grateful, very alive, Wojak Hamster's own father was making the same mistake with a brand new Ford Taurus. 3 generations, same trap. The car model changes. The math never does. Doge Papa's neighbor proved the other side of the coin. Drove a pristine white Range Rover. House had columns out front. Everyone on the block thought he was loaded. 4 months behind on his mortgage. Meanwhile, the quiet lady at the end of the street, 12-year-old Subaru, overgrown garden, retired at 53. Nobody on the street knew. People who have real money don't need you to see it. And you might be thinking, okay, I get it. Drive an old car, save money. But what do I actually do with the money I save? Because save more is the most useless advice in the world without a system. El Pepperoni has a system, and it starts the first week of every January. January 2nd. El Pepperoni opens his laptop at his kitchen table, home-brewed coffee steaming next to a plate of leftover pizza. First thing he does, maxes out his 401k contribution to hit the company match. His employer matches 50 cents on the dollar up to 6% of his salary. That's free money, actual free money that requires zero effort beyond clicking a button. Meanwhile, Wojak Hamster doesn't contribute to his 401k at all. Says he can't afford it. He's paying $702 a month on a charger, but can't put $200 toward retirement. He's choosing a car payment over free money. Same morning, El Pepperoni maxes out his HSA, $3,850 for the year. Triple tax advantage, money goes in tax-free, grows tax-free, comes out tax-free for medical expenses. After 65, it works like a regular retirement account, too. Meanwhile, Wojak Hamster's at CVS that same week, paying $19 for Advil that would have cost him $0 with an HSA. Same headache, different price. Multiply that by every prescription, every doctor visit, every year for 40 years. El Pepperoni's third move. Everything left over goes into a high-yield savings account earning 4.8%. Not his regular bank account at 0.01%. On $20,000, the regular account pays $2 a year. The high yield pays $960. Same money, same effort, 480 times more return. His emergency fund sits in this account, growing quietly while it waits. None of this is complicated. None of this requires a finance degree. None of this requires a special connection or insider knowledge. It requires one thing, not giving $702 a month to a Dodge dealership. That's it. That's the entire secret. The money Wojak spends on looking rich is the exact money El Pepperoni uses to become rich. Same salary, different parking spots, different futures. Let's run the final number. If Wojak did exactly what El Pepperoni does, bought an $8,000 car cash, skipped the premium insurance, the garage apartment, the car wash membership, the chrome accessories, he'd free up about $14,000 a year. Put that into index funds averaging 8% annual return. In 10 years, $217,000. In 20 years, $687,000. In 30 years, $1.2 million from one decision made once. The car you choose to drive or not drive is the most important financial decision most people will ever make, and they make it at a dealership on a Saturday afternoon while a salesman pours them burnt coffee. Now rewind. Go back to that Walmart parking lot. Tuesday evening. Fluorescent lights buzzing. Wojak hamster is inside buying energy drinks and frozen burritos because he's too tired and too broke to cook after a 10-hour shift that pays for a car sitting in the lot for 8 of those hours. His hands grip the shopping cart too tight. Phone buzzes. Payment reminder. $702 due Friday. He's got $719 in checking. $17 between him and overdraft. His stomach doesn't growl, it clenches. El Pepperoni is 2 aisles over. Same frozen burritos. His phone buzzes too. Dividend deposit. $47 from REIT he bought 3 years ago. With money he didn't spend on a car payment. He doesn't even look. Grabs his burritos, walks to his dented Camry, turns the key because the remote still doesn't work, and drives home on a road full of potholes he doesn't care about. He'll sleep 8 hours tonight. His breathing line was crossed 14 months ago. Monday doesn't scare him. Nothing does. Same parking lot, same Tuesday, same salary, different cars, different lives. Drop a comment, run the numbers on your car tonight. Every dollar. Payment, insurance, gas, maintenance, parking, accessories, all of it. Be honest with yourself. That number might be the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. The system isn't broken. It was built this way. Every billboard, every commercial, every "you deserve it" was engineered to move money from your pocket to theirs. But now you see the blueprint. Now you know what the ghost fleet is. Now you know why Doge Papa smiles in his 20-year-old Honda while his neighbor sweats in a Range Rover he can't afford. The best time to stop overpaying for a depreciating machine was 10 years ago. The second best time is this Friday when that payment hits. Your move.